Hey, it's Raeshaun. You're watching 416 Interview.
The first question I want to ask you is when did you start creating music?
So this one's a deeper question. So professionally, I want to say 2018. So January 2018 was my first kind of dive into it. So I downloaded FL Studio. I want to say all of 2017. Started playing with beats, learning how to make the shittiest beats. We can swear on here, no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, make all the shittiest beats I can, and then something just clicks, and then you realize, oh, that's how you do it. So then Jan 2018 put out the first song, and then I tried to do a track a week, kind of like the Russ implementation, but a track a week for the whole 2018, give or take. And then after that, I started like tightening it, maybe one a month. But yeah, professionally 2018. But even before that, I want to say I was making music like 2015, 2013, even before as well, right? So it's always been a thing, like performing even grade five, etc. Eminem on talent shows or whatnot.
All right, okay. What made you start creating music?
It's pretty much that. So I want to say when I was like young, elementary school, I started listening to a lot of hip hop, and the first thing was I want to say that drew me in was the whole G Unit, 50 Cent, Eminem kind of lifestyle. So the gangster rap, but in reality, right? Like we're in Toronto, I'm not a gangster at all. So like it's just everyone's drawn to that music. It was different. It was hype. And it took over the scene, right? Like MTV, Much Music, you name it, it's everywhere, right? So I want to say it was that, and then I became a heavy Eminem fan, and yeah, man, like I knew all lyrics, performed it on stage at a young age, even at like 10, I'm rapping Eminem and whatnot. But then as I grew, artists start coming on the scene. So like then Drake comes and he's from our area, changes the whole type of music. I didn't even know I'd be into more of the R&B hip hop kind of mix, right? So where you get the singing and the rap, and then from there you get the party next doors and the whole music genre of like gangster rap to more smooth mellow got me going, right? So it was just a nice contrast, and I'd say the inspiration was, hey, there's people from my city doing it before no one was doing it, and these two sounds are different, and yeah, I just love hip hop that sense, and I just took a dive into it.
You said you're from Toronto, right?
Hmm.
Did the neighborhood that you grew up in, did it kind of influence your music in any way or the environment?
I'd say yes and no. So it's not like so yeah, I was born downtown. I don't know if you know St. Joseph's Hospital. It's grew up around there till I was about 5, moved over to the West End a little bit. But yeah, it's just people in general that I grew up with were listening to hip hop, but it's
Mm.
not so much that the area itself influenced it, because it was more I was getting my sources of music from online and TV and etc. So it was more just being bombarded with it, and then doing deep dives into certain artists like Eminem, J. Cole, Drake, you name it. I've done a deep dive like D12, G Unit, and then just start listening to these pockets: Kanye West, Tory Lanez, Party Next Door. It's more just so finding artists, really vibing with their sound, and then going from there.
Okay. My next question is what was kind of the thought process behind your name? Because you just kind of used your own kind of name rather than using like an artist name, right? And that's kind of you don't really see that often, to be honest. Now everyone's got that like little in front of their names and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just do you want to walk me through that?
Sure. There's two thought processes actually. So I remember somebody telling me a long time ago they didn't want to get a tattoo because they didn't know what they wanted on their body forever, right? And it kind of makes sense. Like you don't want a tattoo, you don't know if you're gonna hate it in 50 years. Very similar with a rap name, right? Like or a hip hop name, or like one of those aliases. If you create something, you become really successful with it, it kind of sticks, right? And you don't have a lot of leeway to change that down the line. Like Kanye tried to do it with Ye, but people still know him as Kanye West, right? So whatever name you start with and have the greatest success with, it's going to stick with you. So I didn't know of anything that I wanted to just be associated with me for my whole career. So pretty much what I did was I looked at my name, Rayshawn, and I'm like, pretty unique. Sounds pretty like mainstream hip hop already. So I'm just gonna go with that. There's nobody with the name out, and yeah, it's unique. It rolls off the tongue. My mom blessed me. I'll just go with that.
Yeah, no, it's dope.
Yeah, yeah,
You want to walk me through a creative process on like how you come to create a song?
sure. Um, Man, it's changed over the years. So when I first started, I would just write down lyrics, right? But I'd say the best way I do it now, and I think a few artists do this as well, is I always start with the beat. Um, so I'll find a melody that I like or create a melody first, and then build the drums around that because I produce it as well as sometimes with my team. So I have a team named a guy named Tristan, a guy named Nims that I work with very closely, and we'll come up with that melody. Once we get the melody, we'll build the drums around it and a rough beat. It doesn't have to be done at this time. But once we have like a beat in hand, I'll jump on the mic and then I'll create a rough like vocal melody. And sometimes it's just complete nonsense. It doesn't even make sense. It's not lyrical. It's just sounds and mumbles like da 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 da. So you come up with the flow of the song before it's even anything, right? So now you have a beat, now you have a direction of where you want to take the song vocally, and then I'll go back and write into that vocal melody. And then you have your lyrics at that point, and then go in the booth, record it, and then we'll finesse the beat, we'll make some bass, we'll, slice it up and change it up. But pretty much it's, yeah, beat first, vocal melody, do a bunch of those because you never know what's going to hit. And then after that, go and write the lyrics because by the time you're doing those vocal melodies, you kind of have a sense of where you want to take the song emotionally, I guess, or what kind of route you want. Is it going to be fun and party? Is it going to be more, deep and sensitive? You go from there, write the lyrics, record it, mix and master, and then you're out.
Do you freestyle a lot or no?
I used to, but not so much. I realized early on I'm not too good at freestyling. I rather, like sit down and write out the thoughts.
All right, okay. Is music more of a passion or career for you?
A career for sure. It starts off as a passion, right? I began it with like, your influence, you're doing it, you're listening to people. But then, as I saw like my brand growing and Instagram growing and real fans sticking around and helping support every project and the streams growing, I'm like, okay, so this is the future. This is what I'm going to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. While I was doing my research on you, I found out that you actually used to work at an accounting firm.
hmm
So, why did you kind of leave that accounting firm to pursue your passion, which is now a career in music?
So the best way to describe that is if you known me like my whole life from, let's say, 10 years old onwards, you'd always know that I told my parents, siblings, friends, whatever, once I'm done school, I'm just going to do music. I've always said it from a young age, right? So it was never a surprise to anybody who knew me. But the mentality I had was kind of like, if I do school and I finish this and I have all this in my back pocket, there's nothing to stop me from pursuing what I want to pursue and going full at it. We live in a country here, like in Canada, North America, where you have the opportunity to do things that you might not have had otherwise. So why waste it? Why squander it, right? Especially at a young age. Go take the risk, go try it out. But I'm not saying be stupid. I'm not telling people like drop out of school and screw your future. Don't do that. Have your backup plan, which was what I did. So I went to school, did business and accounting, had that in the back pocket, became a CPA, have it all there, right? Now I can fund myself. Now I can do things, right? Early on. So while I was working there, I was saving every penny because I knew I'd have to dump it back into music, right? By the time I had everything in place, the degrees, the designations, etc., I'm like, okay, I have my safety net. I'm jumping full force into what I want to do now. So that's pretty much the thought process of that. Set myself up for success and monetary success, save, jump into it, and take a risk and go for it. So that's pretty much the whole thought process. And music was always something I was gonna do no matter what. So to the outside, some people might be like, "Oh, why did he do that?" But if you knew me internally, you'd be like, "Oh, he was always going to do that. That was always the plan, right?" So
How long did you work as an accountant for before you switched gears and totally became an artist?
I want to say I was there for about 3 years plus. So it was right out of uni, 3 years. Got because I still had to do all the not schooling, but I guess you could say requirements to get the CPA, which was like 30 months of accounting experience and then writing exams. So technically, like you're done school, but you still got to do a little bit. So yeah, it was right after I got it. I'm like, yo, I'm out. This is it. It's in the pocket.
Looking back at it, do you have any regrets of like not leaving that kind of the designation and getting all those tests and stuff done sooner, and then just becoming an artist?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I've thought about this before, and the it's not really a regret, but it's something that I thought of as well. Whereas I used to have like a all or nothing mentality, where it's like, let me finish this and then start this, right? So let me finish school, then start that. Finish this, start that. Whereas looking back, the only thing that would be different would be like maybe I could have learned. Started learning beats while I was in university because I didn't know how to do it. I'm at U of T. I'm just focusing on the academic side. I could have done both, right? Like I could have just started learning everything a little bit earlier. That's pretty much the only, I wouldn't even call it a regret. The only learning thing that I took was you don't have to do one thing, finish it, and start the other. You could do things simultaneously sometimes. So maybe I would have started learning beats and production earlier. Maybe I would have started recording earlier, right? And having things on the go before I jumped in. Because I kind of jumped in cold turkey, with pretty much nothing solid and professional ready to go. But yeah, it was just maybe I would have had like 2 or 3 years of material ready to go as I quit, right? So much that's the only thing I would say. Starting a little bit earlier, learning a bit earlier on the music side.
So when you were in university, you did not focus at all toward your music kind of career that you wanted to go to?
I'd say very minimally. It's like I was performing here and there and whatnot, but it was more like a pastime. And I don't even want to call it that because I always knew I would do it, but I didn't really jump into it and make it a priority then, whereas I should have, right? So yeah, I'd say if you can make it a priority earlier, do it, right? Like find the time. And that's pretty much it.
How would you describe the music you create?
The best way I could describe it is melodic. It's funny because I started off, I would say it was rap and hip hop, but it's not so much that. It's more like melodic hip hop R&B. So if you take like Drake, The Weeknd, Tory Lanez, Ram Riddles, even maybe right, mix that together, something like that in that range of sound where it's melodic. There's some island influence. There's some hip hop type of bars at times, right? But it's more like mood music, but still fun, right?
All right. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Um, I see myself in 5 years touring Grammys. I want to say sold out shows, taking over the Rogers Center. Who knows, man? I don't know. Full out fans screaming, festivals, rolling louds, you name it. I'm out here.
Okay. Let me ask you something on along the same lines. Do you see yourself in Toronto, like staying in Toronto, down the road, like a year, couple years from now?
Yes and no. Um, the only reason I would move per se is like if there's opportunity. So I'm not like looking to an opportunity could be in two ways. If housing or something's cheaper elsewhere and I can use more money efficiently, like let's say Texas or LA or something, I'll go. Or there's an opportunity to be based out of there to get more shows and more opportunity, I'll do it. But there's no rush for me to leave Toronto. You pretty much have everything here that you need to. You have studios, connections, the equipment. You see, you could set up home to like make demos or even I made full songs here that have done really well, right? Like you don't really need to leave to do what you want to do. But if there's an opportunity, I'll jump around. But like home base could be Toronto for a long time. I'm not really looking to jump, but I could.
If you could collaborate with any other artist in the game right now, who would you want to collab?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I want to say, sorry, let me exit that. But
Let's do top three. Top three.
I don't know, man. Like it could be. I'll give you like ranges, right? Right. So one would be probably if I'm staying local, Ram Riddles because his music is very similar. It's just fun, hype, whatever. If I'm doing local as well, it could be Tory Lanez, The Weeknd type. It's still local, but on a bigger scale,
Yeah.
right? Could be just because it's very similar in nature, right? But if you're going like major, DJ Khaled would make a banger because I know he's doing executive producing on music, and I love his just like pop tracks, right? So you could go like the DJ Khaled route, or if you're gonna go that route as well, of course Drake, put on for the city. It would just be very Toronto based. But yeah, I'd say Kanye West, was also a big influence as well. So Kanye in his day was really well. Just the emotion he put through it. But if I had to give you three, I'd be Ram Riddles. Um, on a mid level, maybe even do you know Gashi? Gashi?
I think I might have heard of him.
Yeah, very similar music. And then on the top level, The Weekend maybe. I feel like we can make a banger. So just these ranges, right?
No, that's, those are good three.
Or even on a local level as well. Do you know Anders? Anders.
Yeah, I do know Andrews. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the one song that I that I'm like bumping right now? It's called "Notice" or
Yeah,
something. Interlude.
another one. Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah,
they just have very good hype local vibes, right?
yeah, he does.
Mm.
He's kind of like a hidden gem though, because he's
Oh
still
yeah.
like, not on that mainstream level, but everyone in Toronto knows about him.
If you know, yeah, if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Out of all the songs and projects that you put out, which one are you like most proud of?
Every time I drop a song, I always feel like that's my favorite. So it's crazy. So drop it. Oh, yo, that's a sick song. Then the next one, then the next one. But my most current song, Flavor, I'm pretty proud of because we sat in the booth. It was me, Tristan, and Nims in the studio, and we just had an idea. We wanted to make a fun party song, right? Like a fun party, boastful, just like crazy song. So we started with the same process I told you. The beats, got on the mic, created some melodies, and wrote it out. But yeah, there's that. Then we took that concept and created a whole music video around it with the private jet, and it was just fun, right? Like so that's why I'd say it was the most fun because we took it from idea to complete like music video with planes, etc., and to see it come to fruition just from a thought brainstorm session, right? Like what if we had private jets and we talked about this and talked about that, and now you have a final product. So yeah, I'd say flavor.
All right. Was Flavor also one of your songs that you like most enjoyed putting it together and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, because when we're in the studio, every time we came up with a melody, every time I hopped on the bar and we created something and played with the beat, we just felt like, yo, this is something. This is something, right? So yeah, so that's one of my favorites. Another thing is like sometimes you have sleeper tracks, right? Where I made a song right here. It was called "Going for the Gold," right? Produced it myself, mixed and mastered it myself, everything. Wrote it. And I just put it out, and then it didn't do anything for a while. But then I want to say 2020, 2021, I got it on a CW TV show, All American, and it's in a scene and whatever. Then it blew up on its own, and it's doing well royalties wise and music wise, etc. Right, Shazam. So you never know, even what you make in the past that might people might relate to currently. So yeah,
Another question I want to ask you. How has social media kind of transformed your life, and has it helped like a lot for your musical career?
I'd say without social media, there is no career, really, in reality, because prior to that, as I was telling you with the 50 Cent, M&M's, etc., they had major label and not major. They had major label connections, but they also had, the MTVs, the Much Musics, etc. They had the network to push these individuals, but it was very few and far between, right? Like you're either gonna get signed and you're gonna get a push, or you're not. Whereas today, it was kind of like I'm still doing everything on my own with my own connections, right? And I have my own distributors, etc. I set up my whole team on my own, pretty much, but that didn't really exist beforehand. So with social media, that was the biggest part. Was when I quit, I got an influx of followers because I was doing something so unique that people haven't heard of, right? So then my Instagram started blowing up, and I went up to I think about 10K followers after quitting and slowly like growing from there, right? And from that I was able to post my music, people find it, people listen to it, and I grow. So without Instagram specifically, I wouldn't have a way to connect with my fan base per se. Now I have email addresses and mailing lists, etc., but without that core hub, it doesn't exist. You're not reaching your fans. Without Spotify, you can follow artists on Spotify. Your fans are not getting notifications, right? They're not heading, oh, Ray just dropped a track, this and that, whatever. So truly, and it is like Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music. Without these like platforms itself, you don't have. Uh, there's no career for the middle level or the artist starting out. And it's crazy that we do have it because, yeah, even YouTube itself, right? I can put out a music video. I can do whatever I want on my own terms and on my own time, right? And gain fans from it, right? So I'd say 100%. It's the reason I do have a career in music.
I noticed you didn't talk about TikTok. Do you use that as well or no?
Fair. I have and haven't. So like the thing with TikTok is I've had one TikTok blow up and it brings in followers and whatnot, and then every other one is it's like mid level. But the thing is, yeah, I haven't really been on a full fledged TikTok marketing campaign yet. But something I do want to get into with the team as well, right? It's a completely different platform. Whereas like Instagram, you're posting your highlights, you're posting what you're doing, your photos, your music. It's not gonna work on TikTok, and we've seen that where you really have to be native to the platform. You have to be like find something that just entertains. Nobody gives a shit about you otherwise. No one cares about your song. No one cares about nothing. You have to find a way to entertain people and incorporate your music into that. So we're still working on it, and some artists do a good job of it too. But yeah, I haven't really explored it yet. I'm still dabbling in the TikTok, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Yeah.
The next question I want to ask you, what advice do you have for new artists coming into the game?
Um. Let's see. The first thing would be is just create content, and that sounds so redundant. I know. I'm not saying put it out per se. I'm saying just create and batch a bunch because, as I said, every song I made I thought was a banger until I made the next one. Until I made the next one. So the whole point of that is like if you're having a graph, you might just go like straight up. You don't know what your hit song is gonna be until you make it. I know that sounds weird, but like unless you're making consistent music, you never know, right? So the more you make, the more chances you give yourself to have that hit. And then once you have a good set of quality music, start putting it out. So if you stockpile like 20 solid tracks, now you can be consistent and release one a month and you have 20 months worth of music, right? And that's what I'm saying. So it's like just keep creating, just keep stockpiling, and then keep releasing on a consistent um, I guess, strategy. Keep doing it one a month, one every month and a half, whatever. Create visuals to it as well because we live in a visual world now. TikTok, as you said, mentioned, right? It's a visual platform. Instagram is visual. Everyone's doing reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts. Find a way to make short content around your music. It's harder. It's easier said than done, but yeah, the biggest thing would be stockpile music and keep making music nonstop. And I'll give you an example. Like for every one track I might put out, I'll hop on this mic and come up with four ideas that I scrapped. So not every song you come up with or idea you have is gonna be a commercial project, right? But maybe after that fourth one, the fifth one you try is. And if you did that every day for 5 days, now you have what 20 songs that you scrapped, but you have five solid potential hits. So just keep making music, right?
Yeah. You talked about consistency. How important do you think that is to elevate an artist's career?
It's I think the only way to do it because once again I'll go back to TikTok and short form content. You're not only fighting for people's attention with music, right? You're not like just saying, okay, I'm an artist, I'm fighting with all these other artists. You're also fighting for people's attention on video and streaming platforms, right? A fan can either listen to your music or go watch a Netflix show or go scroll on TikTok. So you have to be consistent, meaning like I'm not saying just dropping songs consistently. You just got to be in people's faces 24/7. If you're not in someone's face, they're going to forget about you. So you have to constantly just be bombarding people with music videos, with new songs, with this and that. Because if you don't, the moment you stop, people will be like, oh, where did he go? Forget about you or not. So the more consistent you are, the more you're being like, oh, he's here, he's here, he's here. You're on the top of the mind, right? And then that gets more people's attention and it snowballs. So it's a hard thing to do, but I think if you stockpile content, you stockpile media, songs, whatever, it's easier because you're just releasing as opposed to dropping one and then trying to create something new to drop again, right? Yeah.
Any new projects people should look out?
Yeah, so I have a new song. I want to call it Good Life. I might change the title. I don't know. Should come out end of March, and then we're gonna work a video around that as well. Then I have another single dropping after that, a month and a half approximately. Pretty much, I'm doing a couple videos and a couple singles in the next 2 3 months, and yeah, very melodic and hype tracks as well. So not good. Good Life is more in your feels and melodic as well, but the one after that it's gonna be more hype and fun. But yeah, just look out for more singles and music videos as well.